Hello and welcome back to Green on the Greens. If it's a different look this weekend, or this week, your eyes are not deceiving you. Ian McMillan is on vacation, and we have replaced him with a better co-host, I would say, Savannah Richardson, also from FanSided with myself. Savannah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Excited to be here, and what a great compliment to start the show. I'm ready, and I'm all at an all-time high now.
Well, it was more a dig at Ian than it was a compliment to you, but we'll let you think it's a compliment.
Whatever helps me feel
So
better.
this week we have the Travelers Championship, but before we get into that and our picks for the Travelers Championship, we're going to go through a quick recap of the U.S. Open. First, we're going to recap mine and Ian's bets from last week. For closest to the win, which if you don't know is our competition between me and Ian to see who can pick a golfer with 150 to 1 odds or worse. And whoever finishes better or closest to the win gets a point. The winner after the whole season gets a free round of golf on the loser. Last week at the U.S. Open, neither of our picks made the cut. I had Audrey Arnos and he had Wyndham Clark. Clark was close, but he kind of faded on Friday, so no points. And then because Ian is out and it's a kind of a personal wager between the two of us, we're not going to do that this week. As for our actual picks, I had an awful week, if I'm being frank about it. I had Patrick Cantlay to miss the cut. He did not. He actually finished inside the top 20. Davis Riley was my one hope. I had him for a top 20, and he was inside the top 20 going into Sunday, and then shot, I think, 4 or 5 over on Sunday to really take him out of that. Shane Lowry I had as a top 10. He did not make the cut. I had Xander as a top 5, and he finished T14, but didn't even feel like he played that well. And then I had Rory to win, and I was hopeful throughout, but that obviously didn't work out. Ian, on the other hand, had a great week. Dustin Johnson did make the cut, so he missed that pick, and he also missed his top 20 pick with Luke List. But he had Matt Fitzpatrick as a top 10 at over plus 200 odds, and that obviously cashed considering he won. But he also, if you read him on BetSided, he had him as one of his outright picks. So Ian was all over Fitzpatrick this week. And he also had Will Zalatoris for a top 5 at plus 550, and that also cashed. And his winner pick on the show was John Rahm, who was obviously in contention but didn't win. Before we get into the Travelers, though, Savannah, do you have any thoughts to recap the U.S. Open for us?
Ian whooped your tail, Cody. Like he was all
It was
over
bad.
it. Well, I'm just super excited and happy for Fitzy winning the U.S. Open as his first win, and just finally getting over the hump of not having a PGA Tour victory, but having multiple international wins. And so to see him be able to celebrate at a place where he already won the USAM, kudos to him. But I really wanted to see Willie Z get over the hump and do it, but it won't be long until he does. And when he does, it's going to be, in my opinion, at least a big win. So that's kind of where I'm at with the U.S. Open. Other than that, I was a big Rory. I wanted Rory to win by 10 shots, is what you were talking about on our Twitter Spaces, but didn't quite happen.
Yeah, I got a little over my skis with Rory. I tend to do that. I get excited, and here we go. But I'm with you on. It was great to see Fitzpatrick really pull through because me and Ian have both we've lost a lot of money on Matt Fitzpatrick this year because he's been playing so well that we've been waiting on him to win, and he just hadn't broken through. And so it was really great to see him not just win, but also do so on a big stage, and a big stage where he had a lot of pressure on him coming in because it's where he won the USAM. So that was cool. And I know it's frustrating with Zalatoris, but he's going to get there. He is made for major championship golf, and I mean, winning is hard. That's just the way it is. Like Zalatoris didn't lose the tournament. Matt Fitzpatrick won it. And so, I
Mhm.
mean, that's just kind of where, you're going to get bad breaks. And I think, he's getting a lot of early Louis Oosthuizen comparisons. And I don't see those because Louis has lost a lot of those majors when he finished runner up. Like he didn't hit the shots he needed to. Zalatoris hit the shots he needed to. It's just Fitzpatrick hit more. And
Yeah.
that's all it came down to for me. So with the U.S. Open now in the rear view, we're heading to TPC River Highlands in Cromwell, Connecticut for the Travelers Championship, a.k.a. Bubba Watson's favorite tournament, except he's not playing this week. So we're going to get into our picks there, and we're going to start with you, Savannah. We always start, we go miscut, top 20, top 10, top 5, and then winner. So who is your pick to miss the cut at the Travelers Championship?
I have Ricky Fowler to miss the cut because Ricky is not playing very well right now. And so I don't think that he's going to keep that up in the Travelers at all. I just think that he's kind of lost his way and hasn't found it even remotely close, and I don't even think that he's searching for it anymore at this point. I just think he's out there having a good time with his buddies. As long as he gets to see them, he's good. But other than that, I don't think he's really trying to be competitive. He could be someone I think that may jump ship to the the new arch nemesis dark side live laugh love golf tour. So
Yeah, I can't argue with the Ricky Fowler pick. I want to believe in him so bad because I mean, it's when Ricky Fowler is on his game, it's a lot of fun to root for him. But he's not there right now, and anytime like it looks like it, he immediately takes 2 steps back, and it's just tough to trust him. So I'm with you on that, especially at a golf course. It takes a lot of precision. Someone who is not very confident in their swing, I'm with you on that one. My pick to miss the cut this week is Tony Finau. I saw consensus odds around plus 175 for him to miss the cut. WinBet obviously does not have those odds up yet, but he got a lot of people's hopes up coming into the U.S. Open because he had 3 top 5s in his previous 5 starts, and in old Tony Finau fashion, he missed the cut. And now we're going to a place where ideally when Tony's on his game, this should suit him, but he's actually missed the cut at the Travelers the last 3 years. So he doesn't play well here for whatever reason. And considering we saw his form kind of come back to earth last week and he's going to a place where he doesn't have good feels after the U.S. Open, I don't really have a lot of confidence in him. So I'm kind of buying the dip or buying before we dip back down on Finau right here.
Yeah, I just don't think he's playing his best golf for whatever reason. I don't know if it's his fashion choices at this point or what, but he might need to reevaluate. I agree with you. I just feel like he's missing something in his game, whether it's through off the tee or even with his, short game. I just feel like he's not clicking on all cylinders where he was earlier in the season. And so I would love for him to kind of like maybe miss the cut and get a fire under his belly to play better. So
yeah, I'm with you there. And the fashion choices, I don't know if they're hindering his game, but they're certainly not helping it. So we'll leave it at that. All right, Savannah, let's get your top 20 pick for the Travelers.
I have Harris English, which is at plus 450 odds. Not a huge better, but Cody will have to help me there. I'm a big Harris English fan. He's a defending champ. However, this is his 3rd event back from hip surgery. No, not hip surgery. Yeah, hip surgery, labrum. That's hip, right? Sure.
Yep.
Somewhere in the body. And he has been rehabbing and working hard and to just not play great since he's been back. And so his form is a little rusty, but if anybody knows how to play this course, it's Harris. After that 8-hole playoff win last year, it's hard not to put him in the top 20 just because of how much success he's had there in the past.
Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned what I would play devil's advocate playing the Ian role today. He hasn't played particularly well, although I will say I feel like his game has gotten better with each start, even if the finishes don't necessarily reflect that. So that would be my worry with that. But I think for the defending champ at plus 450 and what we know Harris English looks like at the top of his game, I'm not going to hate on it too much, but you did mention why I would be dubious of it because of the injuries. And I'm always dubious of guys who haven't shown that they're all the way back from in a serious injury at that, one that required surgery. It wasn't just one, oh, my ribs are sore or something like that, There's something serious. So that would be my concern, but I don't hate it because it's great value. For my top 20 pick this week, I have Joel Damon, who, if you don't like Joel Damon, then I don't know what you're doing with your life because Joel Damon's awesome. And we saw him contend a little bit at the U.S. Open this past week, and he faded a little bit, but not as much as some of the other guys who flirted with the lead and then, dropped into oblivion. He hung around and fought tough, which I think shows he has a lot of confidence in his game right now. He's one of the more accurate drivers on the PGA Tour, which is really, really good at TPC River Highlands. It's one of the shortest courses on the PGA Tour. I think the 2nd shortest, if I'm not mistaken. And so you have to be accurate and hit the ball into the right spots. And then your approach play has to be really good, especially from 125 to 175 yards. And he's strong in those areas, and he's been even stronger as of late. And it was really strong in those areas last week. So I'm getting plus 300 for him to finish in the top 20 and basically just keep good form going. And the other thing is, I tend to at least get a little scared the week after a major if someone was in contention and, didn't win, that it's a little draining. But for Damon, I don't feel like he's the type of guy who gets necessarily affected by that. And he also was not necessarily in contention on Sunday. So I think it may have been a little more stress-free. So for a top 20 at plus 300, I really like those odds for him.
I'm a big Joel fan too, and after the way he did play for 3 of the 4 days at the U.S. Open, it's only a matter of time before he gets another PGA Tour victory, in my opinion, just because he is so much more improved than he was a year ago. Even after the win, I feel like I've seen him just grow so much off of the tee, especially, and so I think this course fits him. I think he has a chip on his shoulder for the way he finished at the U.S. Open, and but at the same time, like it's either going to be a top 20 or he's going to miss the cut. There's like quite no in between with him. When he's, it's either good or it's not. So I kind of like it though. I had him there and I was like, I don't want to pick the same person as Cody. So that's, I went somewhere.
Given my bets last week, that's a smart strategy. All right, let's move on to our top 10 picks. Who do you have this week?
I have Keegan Bradley at plus 300 for the top 10. New England boy, loves playing in, this area. And he already has 6 top 10 finishes this season, tied second at the Wells Fargo, tied fourth at the Zurich, and then he solo fifth at Players, I believe. So his game is right where it needs to be. He played well last week, even into Sunday. He just didn't quite have it earlier on in the week where he had to fight back too much. Plus, when you have guys like Fitzy and Willie Z kind of just taking control of things, it's hard for someone to move up the leaderboard that much. But he loves playing in this area, and I think he wants to play well for his home region, I guess.
Yeah. No, I looked hard at Keegan for some of my picks as well because everything you said and the emphasis on approach play and ball striking that's Keegan Bradley's game. And he finished second at the Travelers back in 2019. So, I mean, he has good history here, and he had another top 10 in the last 5 years. I can't remember exactly what year, but he has good history. And, yeah, I looked hard at Keegan as well. So I love that pick. And plus 300 for that, I think that's good odds because this field, it's top heavy. But once you get past that top tier, there's not a very big mid tier. And so I like a lot of the mid tier guys like Keegan Bradley to really show something this week. And so getting those odds on that, I like that a lot. My top 10 is a little bit deeper down the board. I'm going with Brian Harmon. He's a guy who has had sneaky success at the Travelers, but that shouldn't be shocking because he's famously not a long hitter off the tee. And so there are courses where he goes to and he's just taken out of contention immediately. But this isn't one of those courses. And he always takes advantage of it. In the last 4 years, he has 3 top 10s at the Travelers. So, I mean, he's cashed this. He would have cashed this ticket 3 out of the last 4 years. And he didn't play great for all 4 days at the U.S. Open, but he was on the top of the leaderboard there not on the top, but on the leaderboard for a minute, and then kind of faded when the conditions got a little bit tougher, which a lot of guys did, Excuse me. But I love for him to show up at a place where he's, continuously showed up throughout his career and, just take advantage of the short courses because that's what a player like Brian Harmon has to do. The courses that fit his game, he has to show up at. And so I'm getting plus 450 for him to do that this week, and I love that.
He's a local dude where I live here in Brunswick, St. Simons area, and so I know just how much people are rooting for him down here to play well, and seeing him play well at the U.S. Open was great to see just because, like you said, a lot of times he gets put out of contention just because he isn't long off at the tee. But I will say I feel like he's working really hard on that element of his game, and he's improved so much, at least in terms of length and getting as much as he can out of his smaller frame. I mean, I'm taller than him. So I like Brian Harmon. He's a dog, so I'm always down for that pick. I just don't think it'll be a top 10. I'm probably a top 20, though.
I mean, he's done it 3 out of the last 4 years, so,
U.S. Open hangover for him.
He finished T43. He's going to be all right. All right, let's move on. Your top 5 pick for the Travelers Championship.
So I'm going to rattle things around a little bit. And I'm picking Harry Higgs to finish top 5. He's at plus 600. I love Harry Higgs. I think he is such a fun and just inviting golfer that needs success. And, a T14 at the Masters, 1 top 10 finish this year. It's been a kind of up and down situation, but he's had a little bit of time off where he can focus and improve those things. I think this course fits him. And I just kind of wanted to go bold just because why not? And big sexy, big Harry Higgs. I was like, top 5, let's do it.
I mean, I have to respect the boldness of it because Harry Higgs was, who doesn't love Harry Higgs? He's arguably the most entertaining guy on the PGA Tour. But he's not been in the best form this year overall, and he's missed the cut here twice, so he was definitely not on my radar, but I respect the boldness so much that I'm not even going to try and pick it apart because if you cash a plus 6,600 top five ticket, I will I will bow to you because that is impressive.
There's just something, a lot of times whenever I do something like this, it's because I just have like that weird gut feeling where you're like, he hasn't played well in a while. He hasn't played well here in the past, but at the same time, like he comes back every year and he wants to play well and he wants to improve his game to this point of being at that, next tier. I consider him like a lower to middle tier player right now, kind of where Max Homa was not too long ago before he started winning. And so it's only a matter of time before Harry kind of puts everything together. And that could be this week. For whatever reason, I was like, Harry Higgs. I don't care whatever else. I was like, Harry Higgs. And so sometimes that helps or works, and sometimes it doesn't. So we'll see.
I mean, honestly, I should probably trust my gut a little more than I do. I'm a slave to the numbers. So I look at the numbers, and that's what sways me a lot of times off guys that I think should succeed. So, here's to hoping the plus 6,600 ticket cashes. I am on the opposite end of the spectrum for my top five pick. I'm going with Rory McIlroy to finish in the top five. He has the shortest odds of anyone to finish in the top five at plus 250 because he is the favorite for this event, and he should be. I mean, we've seen the form that he's been in. He has he should have won the U.S. Open. I'll stand by that. If he struck the ball at all well, he would have won the U.S. Open, but he had probably his worst ball striking tournament in months and just putted the lights out of the ball. And so he still finished T5 despite not playing at his best. And that just shows what kind of form he's in. He's been T8 or better in 4 of his last 5 starts, including the RBC Canadian Open win. Yeah, I'm getting plus odds for him to finish at the top in a top 5. And he's also been good at the Travelers. In 3 of the last 5 years that he's only played 3 of the last 5 years, and he's been top 20 in all 3 trips. And I would argue that he's not been in as good a form consistently as he is right now. And so I wanted to pick him to win, but the odds were just a little too light for me looking from a betting perspective. So I just went with the top 5 at plus 250. But I mean, he could very easily win this tournament with the form he's in right now.
Rory's playing Rory's ball right now, and I think that's the easiest way to put it. It's fun to watch, even when he is struggling, because he's going to have some other element of his game that is lights out. Off the tee, he's good, and then putting wise at the U.S. Open as well. I was just like, wow, we haven't seen this putter performance in a really long time for Rory. So it's just good to see him playing well, and I'm a Rory.
I'll let you elaborate further. Who is your winner pick for this week?
I picked Rory to win this week. Not that I didn't do research for this. I just like coming into these things and kind of going with my gut and how I feel at the moment. And like you were elaborating a minute ago on Rory and how well he's been playing, it's kind of hard to ignore right now. He has a chip on his shoulder. He's playing for whatever purpose that he has inside of him right now that is lighting the fire that we haven't seen. And so even though he didn't win at the US Open, he could have. He 100% could have. After day 1, we both were thinking 10 shots that he could win. And instead, he struggled when the weather and everything else kicked him on his butt. But this week should be a little bit better. I like his game where it's at. I think Rory wins his second tournament in 3 events. And I think it's going to be by 4 shots. We'll go with that.
Okay. I'd like it. You're not even just giving him as a winner pick. You're saying how much he's going to win. I love it. Before the tournament even starts. I can go ahead and give everyone a spoiler alert for this show. I will not be picking Rory to win again until the British Open, when he is definitely winning at St. Andrews. So you can go ahead and mark that down. However, my winner pick for this week is another one of the favorites on the board. I have Patrick Cantlay to win. I'm actually not a big Patrick Cantlay guy. I think he's pretty overrated for the most part, because he doesn't show up in majors he's never in contention at majors, and he's not he won the FedEx Cup last year, but a big portion of that was he won the Memorial because John Rahm had to withdraw because of COVID. So I'm not normally a guy, so that should tell you that I really like this pick, because otherwise I wouldn't ever have any money on Patrick Cantlay. He has been terrific at the Travelers, kind of in the same vein as Rory. He has 4 straight top 15 finishes at TPC River Highlands. And one of my big concerns, so I picked him to miss the cut last week, and the reason was A, it was a major, and B, his form hasn't been what it was last year when he won the FedEx Cup. Like, he just hasn't been striking the ball as well. But over the last 2 rounds, he ended up finishing T14 because he started showing a little bit of what we saw from Patrick Cantlay at the end of last year. And so I think he's rounding back into form, and he may have played 4 rounds at the U.S. Open, but they were pretty relaxed rounds for being in a U.S. Open because no one, like, I didn't see a shot from Patrick Cantlay because he wasn't in the mix. It didn't matter. So I really like for him to come in when, people are kind of off the scent a little bit and at a place where he's played extremely well that fits what he does well. Like, he can be conservative off the tee and play accurately and then use his iron game to really put himself in good positions to score. And we've seen him win these type of events where the winning score is minus 20, 20 under. And that's the type of event where I think he's best at. And one of the reasons why I think he struggles at majors. And so I really like for him to come out this week at plus 1600 and get the victory.
I don't like Patrick Cantlay at all. I don't think he has a personality. I love his game, but I have to check his pulse every time he steps on the golf course because I'm just like, dude, are you good? I would love to see him play more consistently. He had surged last year, and everybody was like, "Oh, Patrick Cantlay," and I'm like, it's a phase, not quite a whole phase, like maybe Jordan Spieth, but like a phase. Oh, and I went there, but whatever. Come for me, it's all good. I like Jordan, but he's still a phase to me, and Patrick's right along there for me. I think if he could find a way to fire himself up, he would play better at majors, but I don't know that personality-wise he has that in him. I just think he's comfortable with playing well on the PGA Tour, and major championships may not be where he wants his success to come from. So I don't mind the pick at all, but I just probably would never pick him to win just because I'm just like, dude, smile, act like you're having fun.
So the No Laying Up podcast, they refer to him as a Treadstone, Born Identity reference, because when he gets unlocked, he's gonna assassinate everyone in the field, but otherwise he's stoic, and like you said, no personality, like nothing. So I'm with you on that. Like, I'm not a big Patrick Cantlay guy, but I just think that this is the type of week where he wins, where there's, he's coming off a major where he didn't perform as well as some would have expected given the level of talent that he has. And he's coming into a field where I think there are going to be several U.S. Open hangovers. And I think this is the type of event where he just unlocks it and wins. So that's where I'm at. So, Savannah, will you recap your picks for us real quick for the Travelers?
Okay, so I have Ricky Fowler missing the cut. I've got Harris English hitting in the top 20, Keegan Bradley in the top 10, Harry Higgs in the top 5. Come on, Big Harry. And then I've got Rory McIlroy winning it all.
And then for myself, I have Tony Finau to miss the cut, Joel Damon as a top 20, Brian Harman as a top 10, Rory McIlroy as a top 5, and Patrick Cantlay to win. All right, Savannah. So before we get out of here, there was one thing I wanted to ask you about. We have had 2 big Live Golf announcements today with Brooks Koepka and Abraham Ancer now joining Live. And there's a lot of rumblings that more guys are coming for later in this week. Do you have any inclination of who that might be based on what you're seeing?
I know it's not Colin Morikawa with his.
Yeah, he's too busy pouring milk over top of his cereal like a psychopath.
You mean pouring cereal into the milk?
That's what I meant. Yeah. Sorry.
You had it right. Like, that's what a normal person does.
That is. I had it right because that's so ingrained in me.
Yeah, well, it's what normal people do. To be honest, Brooks wasn't a surprise. Abraham was slightly a surprise just because I felt like he had a little more heart and soul into the whole tradition side of things. In terms of guys who I think might announce, at this point, it wouldn't shock me if anybody announced outside of if JT, Rory, or any of the people that have blatantly come out and been like, no, then that would be a shocker. But now, seeing how much money they've offered, even like the lower tier guys like Pat Perez and stuff, like, take it. If that's what you want to do, so be it. But I'm more interested in seeing like what's going to come out of this meeting that Jay Monahan had and whether or not he's actually going to try to enforce a lifetime ban. I'm kind of torn when it comes to the Live, Laugh, Love Golf Tour because I'm like, on one hand, it's money that, could change people's lives. And then on the other hand, it's people who already have millions of dollars in their bank accounts just adding more. So it's just kind of like in between for me of feeling okay with it, not liking it. I'm trying to think of who on Twitter today called it a phase. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but in other words, it's like another alternate tour is just going to have it's going to run its time and then it's going to be over with. So if that's what's going to happen, like what's going to happen with these guys that go and when they try to come back, is Jay Monahan really going to like keep them off tour, or are they going to be able to come back? I just don't think that there's a win at all. Like it's their decision, but to be like, you can't play with us because you want to go play somewhere else, I just think it's kind of middle school.
A little bit. I see both sides of it, and I think what you said at the end there is very prescient. I think that it's overall it has a chance to be bad for golf, and like that's the unfortunate part of it. But I will say that there is a positive. Like the PGA Tour announced that in 2023 they're going to have no cut events for big $20 million purses, 4 of them in 2023. So I mean, the one positive I was hoping for is that it would spurn some actual positive change for the PGA Tour, and it seems like it's already doing that to some degree. But I do worry about the state of golf moving forward. Like you said, like Brooks Koepka is Brooks Koepka, but like it's going to be, say Live Golf is done by 2024. It's going to be weird if Brooks Koepka is still what could be the prime of his career and isn't allowed to play on the PGA Tour anymore.
Is he in the prime of his career, or is that prime already passed? Because I'm on team, it's already passed. He's won the majors. He's going to win. And now, because of the way he acts, it's a mental block. And that's what's
okay. I'm not trying to get in I'm making a point. I'm not trying to get into a Brooks Koepka.
I got you. But no, exactly. Like, I agree. It's like you have these bigger names like DJ, like Brooks Koepka, even Bryson. And I'm not a Bryson fan at all. But like, those are guys that move or at least inch the needle to the younger crowd of the guys that don't necessarily get into Tiger Woods and all that, but won't, love golf. And so if you prevent them from playing on the PGA Tour after Live Golf Tour dies out, when it eventually does, it's just like, what are you saying to these kids that look up to them? It's like, oh, well, because they decided to make money on their own, we don't welcome them. Well, that to me is like, well, we don't welcome their fans either. And so I'm just like, you want to grow the game, but you're kind of like handcuffing the game because these guys who are contract workers, they're not, they're not tied to the PGA Tour outside of sponsorships and stuff for going and making a check. Like, who am I to say that you can't go make a check? I get the whole tradition side that Rory and JT say, but like at the same time, Rory and JT almost have like, you know what I mean, money. And a lot of these guys that don't. So
yeah, no, I mean, I understand it a lot more for the Richard Blands, the Pat Perez's, the Kevin Nas of the world, much more so than I do the Brysons or the Patrick Reeds or the DJs. Like those are the guys where I'm just like, guys, come on. What, like Abraham Answer, like you said, was surprising because that's a guy who's just starting to like really get footing on the PGA Tour and it hasn't entered the prime of his career. So like that's the guys where it's tough to see. And I mean, obviously it's problematic where the money's coming from, and that's the big controversy and everything. But I do think end of the day that this will be what Monahan says tomorrow will be very interesting to see how this progresses moving forward. But with that, we are going to get off of Green on the Greens for the day. And we would like you to like, subscribe, everything for the video, share, do everything. And we will see you next week. It'll be me and Ian. We might bring Savannah back at another date. Maybe thank you so much for filling in.
Yeah, I've had a blast. And maybe for the Open Championship, since
maybe we'll go 3 wide.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
There we go. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good day.